Okay, for the week 5 video, we're going to look at factoring. And we have a trinomial here, x squared plus 6x plus 8. And we want to factor it. And to do that, what we normally do is we look at a couple of things. We look at the constant term, which is the one that does not have a variable. In this case, we have 8. And then we look at the linear term, which is the one associated with x to the power of 1. And since our constant term is 8, we're going to look at all of the numbers that multiply together, all of the integers that multiply together to give me 8. So I've got 1 times 8. If you go up to 2, that gives me 2 times 4. I'm going to have to skip 3 because 3 cannot be multiplied by an integer to get 8. And if we go up to 4, that gives us 4 times 2. And basically, we've already got that here. So if this thing factors, it's going to be one of these sets here that will allow us to do that. Okay. Let me erase what we have here so I can add some information. Going back and looking at what we have, first of all, let's look at the sign we have here. Since this is positive, it tells me that when we factor, the signs are going to be the same. And this plus sign indicates that when I factor, the signs are going to be both positive. And normally before I start the process, that's exactly what I do. The first thing I do is I look at those two signs. Again, if this linear term is positive, it means the signs are the same. That means they are both positive or they're both negative. And if you look here, since this is positive, that tells me that I'm going to have 2 positives. Now, if we had had a negative 6 for the linear term, then I would have 2 negatives. Since we have x squared as the first term, I know that I have an x here and an x here because x times x is x squared. And now I'm just going to look at my 2 sets of possibilities, right? I've got the 1 times 8 and I have the 2 times 4. But the question now is, which set will not only multiply together to give me 8, but they need to also add together to give me positive 6. Well, there's no way I can combine an 8 and a 1 using addition and come up with 6. But I do know that 2 plus 4 is 6. Therefore, I have the factors 2 and 4. And if I FOIL this, or if I use the box method, I will see that x plus 2 times x plus 4 will indeed take me back to the original problem. And if you think about it, you have been doing this type of thing since probably elementary school. For example, if you take a number such as, let's just take 16, for example. If you take 16, you're going to break it down to a product of primes. And 16 could be thought of as 2 times 8. And you can break the 8 down to 4 times 2. In fact, we can bring the 4 down to 2 times 2. And again, this is just factoring a number. In this case, we took 16. We factored it down. And in the final analysis, we know that 16 is really 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And that's all we're doing here with x squared plus 6x plus 8. We're factoring it until we can get it down to its simplest product. If you look at what they did in my example, they used this method here, which I sometimes see used. It's the same concept. If you look at the x method that they use, obviously they've got 4 times 2. If you multiply those two together, it does give you the 8. And if you add those two together, you get 6. And just like I did, they factored as x plus 2 times x plus 4. And then they went the extra step and they did check it by multiplying x plus 2 times x plus 4. And again, foiling that out or using the box method, you go back to the original problem, which was x squared plus 6x plus 8.